Have I done enough? Have I done enough to point him to Christ? Have I done enough to help him develop that hunger? Have I done enough? Have I done God's job for him? Because that's really what I'm asking myself.
Hello there. You're listening to the Girl Talk Podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
Hey, I'm Tricia.
Glad you've joined us today. We're going to be talking about our kids and how they have their own journeys today. Going to be diving into the parenthood head first. And I know, TK, you've been asking this question a lot lately because we've had a lot of conversations about it. TK just took her first son off to college, and I've heard you several times say, have I done enough?
Yes.
Have I done enough? Have I done enough? Have I done enough? And I think that's on everybody's mind, no matter what phase of life that your kid is in. And I got to thinking, and I think we even talked about this, I was like, what is enough? Because I think what we do as moms is that we hold our kids and their behavior up to somebody else's kids who we like or think is a good parent. We hold it up next to them and we're like, did I do enough of that? Did I do enough of that? And I want this to become more of a cheerleaders for each other instead of a comparison game, because I think it's important that we encourage one another. Do you ever have that question? Have I done enough?
Oh, all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Well, especially as it relates to my child's spiritual walk.
Oh, yeah.
And my son's a high school senior, and so I'm seeing him make choices. And I remember back to my time when I was a high school senior, when I was 17, 18 years old. I made choices as well. And I want him to make the choices that draw him closer to God.
Right.
That give him a hunger for God, that he wants to serve the Lord. He wants to give his life to the Lord, and not just the walk the aisle and say a prayer kind of given my life, but I want him to want to surrender it all. And he's 17, and there's a lot of it is what I want for him. Maybe the choices I didn't make.
Yeah.
But that's what I want. We just started at church this 21 days of prayer. We're in the middle of this 21 days of prayer that we're doing, where we're praying over something very boldly and desperately and specific. And for me, the thing that I'm praying for is that God would prick my son's heart and give him a hunger that is undeniable for him.
Yeah.
So, yes, I ask myself that question all the time. Have I done enough? Have I done enough to point him to Christ? Have I done enough to help him develop that hunger? Have I done enough? Have I done God's job for him? Because that's really what I'm asking myself.
That's really the bottom line.
The bottom line is, have I done God's job? And I know that God's the only one that can do it.
Let me ask. Let
me
me just throw this question out there because I think it's important for reference. At 17, 18, were you guys spiritually mature? Did you have all the answers, and were you following Christ with your whole heart?
No.
Okay, me either. Me either. And yet, here we sit a couple of years later, just a couple, around microphones in ministry. And I say that because I think it's important for us to remember that with that age comes a lot of figuring it out. And that is hard for a parent, but it is so necessary. I wouldn't go back and change it because it has made me who I am today. But are there things I wish I'd done differently? Absolutely, 100%. But God used all of it, and He will use all of our kids. And I think that's one of the things that's hardest for, especially moms. I don't know about dads because I'm not a dad. But in learning and growing as a parent, it is so hard to watch your kids fail. It is so hard to watch your kids make a bad decision. It is so hard, and you do everything that you can to avoid that. But I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I had a friend tell me, she was like, your job is not to make sure they do everything right. Your job is to make sure they know how to fall. And as I've continued, she told me that when my little girl was like 4 or 5 maybe, because I was trying to teach her how to roller skate. And I was telling her about that, and she said, just like you, do you roller skate? And I was like, no. I mean, if God would have wanted me to roller skate, he'd have put wheels on my feet. But I was trying to teach her, and she used that as a metaphor for life. And it has been so true throughout my life, because they're not always going to make the right decisions, and we have to teach them how to fall and get back up.
You know, I think about my life when I go back to where I was at 17. That was how old I was when I was called into ministry. I was 17. I had all this plan. I was going to go. I actually went to this. I was in the Methodist church at the time, and they at the time had this thing called Exploration. It was Exploration 94, and you would go to like this conference, and you would learn all these things about going to seminary, and you could. I mean, it was so cool. And I went to that, and I was like, I'm going to be called into ministry. I'm called into ministry. I want to go.
Right.
And then I had all the wayward years.
Yeah.
You know? And then it took me a long time to get back around to this. I had to be in my mid-40s before I could come back to being actually in full-time ministry. And but those wayward years were important. Not that I want to do those wayward years over again, but that's part of my testimony.
Right.
And so that's, have I done enough to point Will to Jesus? And I don't want to rob him of his testimony. I don't want to rob him of the opportunity to have, or I don't want to rob him of how God's going to use his testimony in his life later.
Yeah.
That he is going to have some wayward years. He's going to have some wayward decisions. And I can't make all his decisions for him.
Yeah.
Even though I want to.
That's the hardest thing, though.
It is.
That's one of the hardest things about parenting.
Don't make the same mistakes I made.
Yeah.
That's what I am screaming at the top of my lungs as best I can. Don't make the mistakes I made. Don't do it. And guys, when I had to drop Sam off to college, like the day before, and we're at dinner, and I feel like I'm marching to my own execution. I had such dread of saying goodbye, and we were at dinner, and we're all trying to eat, like, I forget what we got, some kind of a like pretzels and stuff, and I'm like, don't make the mistakes I made. And he's like, jarred him, pretzels falling off everywhere. I'm like, and I'd said it before, I just don't want him to make the mistakes, and he doesn't have to. I know we're saying, yes, our mistakes we can now use in ministry and we can use in our testimony, but I don't want him to make those silly mistakes that I made. And I know I've got this friend, and she's one of the only people I know that I can look back and go, well, she didn't have wayward years. Like, she didn't go way off the rails. She's had hard times.
Sure.
But she hasn't, like, rebelled in the way that I did and the way that I've heard a lot of my friends have. And she got married, and she's got kids, and she's raising them in the church. And, like, I'm like, it could be like that.
Oh, there's something you don't know about her life.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
you.
probably true. And again, this is comparing, but I just don't want him to have to
Have the hard
fall
stuff.
on his knees. But I guess that's what it takes. It's just so hard because now I do know I don't have control.
Yeah.
And there have been so many times when I've orchestrated play dates. Don't you worry, Mommy will take care of it. I've orchestrated, getting you in the right class. I have made sure you go to church and you're in Sunday school class and you are getting to church camp. But when you drop them off at college, or what my experience when I dropped him off is that's it.
Yeah.
And I have to laugh because I had this thought. I know a friend whose son is at that school, who is in a ministry there. And I'm like, I could call her, and I could get her to call him and have him go pick up Sam, make Sam go to church with him. And, no. And then God's like, no.
In this 21 days of prayer, though, one of the things that the Lord spoke very clearly to me in this, in the prayers where I've been praying very clearly for my son, is because I'm feeling some of that same pressure. I've got 1 year left. Have I said enough?
Yeah.
Have I done enough? Did I write the book? Like, here's everything you need to know about being, holy and godly, and don't make the mistakes I made. God said to me plainly, almost audibly, but plainly, just because he's gone off to college doesn't mean your job is done.
Yeah.
It also doesn't mean that there's not going to be multiple opportunities for you to continue to influence his life and influence his spiritual walk, and for you to point him to Jesus. It's not over. It's not over. You're not. It's not.
true.
It's not like your kid just jumped off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are so many more opportunities, and now it's just different. It's just going to be different kinds of conversations. It's going to be different. In fact, it might even be better conversations because it's not the always the authoritarian and the subjective kind of person.
Subordinate.
Yeah,
Right.
subordinate.
Yeah.
It's more of the
cop.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not to say you're more equalizing out, but there's more of this. He can come to you as a friend relationship, and you can speak to him differently.
Yeah.
So it's not over. I say that to say the Lord gave that to me, but I'm also giving it to you. Yeah, take it. Your job's not done. I mean, maybe the job of play dates, it's done. Calling the people at the college,
Orchestrating
that piece is done. Please, for the sake of your child, don't do that.
Yeah.
But there's lots of opportunities for you to still have speaking into his life. Your job is not done.
If he lets me.
Yeah.
Yes. As long as you don't orchestrate play dates, he might let you.
I've got a girl. Listen, pick her up Saturday
right.
at her dorm.
Mom, stop.
The relationship has to be a little bit different, but there's beauty in that.
Sure.
There's beauty in that kind of new way that you can have conversations with your child.
Do you think any of it is we don't really trust God with our kids?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, yes.
I have just the reason I asked that question is because I've encountered that in a big way recently. Like, Lord really saying, do you trust me with her? Like, because
I know you say you do.
yeah,
but
you say that all the time, but do you really?
do you?
Because you know, I got her. I mean, I've got her. Just like I had you, even when your parents thought, oh, my goodness, she has gone off the rails and she's never coming back. And I've got her. And so for me, it's a big trust. It's more of a control issue for me than it is a anything else, because I want to control. And, you know, the Bible doesn't say Carol ordered her steps. That's not what it says.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could?
It would be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It would be very nice, but that's not the way it works. So how do we trust God with our kids?
Yeah. We have to surrender them to him. And that is so, so hard for those of us who are type A and planners, moms in general.
It's hard for people who aren't type
or
A
even
and
if you
planners.
aren't.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Any
still
mom.
hard.
Yeah. Just surrender.
Because they carry a piece of your heart. And God gave them
Yep.
to you because you were the perfect parent. We've said that before on the podcast as well.
Yep.
But he also asks you to give them back and say they're yours, and they are going to walk out their journey. And just like I never would have listened to my parents at 17 and 18 say, don't make the same mistakes I made. Of course, I don't think my parents made mistakes.
Oh, yeah,
But
they did. They just didn't tell you about
They
it.
just didn't tell me about them. That's right. But just like we didn't make all the right decisions, and our parents spent time on their knees for us. So that is our call.
Yes.
You know, during this season of life is to pray for our kids and to trust God with them. That's really what God's been kind of teaching me, and like continuing to like, okay. Because for me, I have struggled a lot with being a single parent over the years and thinking that was not what I had designed my life to look like. I wanted her to grow up in the family with a mom and a dad, and that's just not what happened. And I beat myself up for that, and the Lord was like, people with moms and dads who are lovely still grow up and make bad decisions. They do. And you've got to turn loose and let go, and to take your hands off the controls and say, all right, Lord, she's yours. You've gifted her. You do what you're going to do in her heart.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing we have to remind ourselves. God can redeem anything.
Yeah.
He redeemed our stories.
Proof of that.
Yeah. He redeemed our stories.
Yeah.
And I made mistakes. I made lots of mistakes. I know we all have made mistakes. And God has redeemed those things. And he's gently and lovingly called me back to him and kept me on his, brought me back to his path for my life. And he'll do the same thing with our children. And they are going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How do we live this out? This is hard.
this way.
Feeling emotional.
We live this out by all of us as a community encouraging each other, talking to each other, being real and vulnerable and authentic about this. And part of it too is the Titus 2 model of the older women, the women who have are not older in age, but are older in their path in life, speaking back to us and going, "Hey, I know this is hard. I was there, and God's got this. God's got your child, and you're going to be all right."
Yeah.
And reminding us of that. So older women, we implore you to speak into the lives of younger women. Younger women, we implore you to reach out to some older women and ask for their advice and be authentic and share your real struggles because we have to do this in community. We can't. And then those of us who are in the same kind of mode together, we just have to continue to talk with each other and be authentic and transparent and lean upon each other.
Yeah, and cheer one another on.
Yes.
That is the most important
We got
thing.
you, TK.
Yeah, we do have you.
Thank you.
God's got Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
And all of our kids.
All of our kids.
And so if there's a way that we can pray for you as a parent, we'd love to do that. You're always welcome to email us, girltalk@thelightfm.org. We'd love the opportunity to pray for you. We'd love the opportunity to just connect with you. So if you want to check in on the Facebook pages, you can do that as well. And hey, don't forget, before you leave today, whatever platform that you have listened to this podcast, would you like and leave a comment? That just helps more people get to know Girl Talk, and the whole reason that we do this is so people will come to know Jesus. So if you'll do that, we would be greatly appreciative. And you know what? We're going to save you a seat next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.